Welcome to Dispatch, the weekly show designed to keep you on track as you build and operate your layout. I'm Roy Smith, your dispatcher. Thank you for joining me tonight. On tonight's show, your layout photos, the question of the week, your comments, and a big shout out. As always, the studio audience has gathered and is waiting for the show to begin. They must like to hang out here because they keep coming back. Well, first up on tonight's show, your layout photos. Each week I invite you to post photos of your layout on a Facebook page called the N-Scale Union Pacific Evanston Subdivision Group. And each week many of you do just that. Then I bring your photos over here to Dispatch to share with everyone during the show. So once again, I have a bunch of layout photos to share with you. And here they are. Now when the show ends, I want you to go over to the Facebook group, join the group, and post a photo of your layout there because we want to see what you're doing on your layout. I do want to mention that even though it's an N-scale group, you are welcome to post photos there no matter what scale you model in, whether it's HO scale or any other scale. We are all model railroaders, no matter which scale we choose to model in. I will put a link down below that will take you to the group. When you see this photo of Echo Canyon on my layout, you'll know you're at the right place. Next up on the show, the question of the week. This week's question was suggested by SPN53, Daylight and Overnight. Here's the question he suggested. When you were planning your layout, which came first for you? Did you select the location you wanted to model first? Or did you select the railroad you wanted to model first? Well, many of you responded to the question, and I've compiled your responses in this chart. As you can see, the results are almost evenly divided between those of you who selected a location to model first and those who selected a railroad to model first. The difference is almost negligible. And some of you said that you selected a location and a railroad at the same time. Those of you who picked location first often said that you were attracted to a particular region of the country. Perhaps it's where you grew up, have lived, or now live. You wanted to recreate the feel of this region on your layout. Perhaps the American East, Southwest, or Northwest, for example. You wanted people to look at your layout and say, wow, It looks just like the real area. Your choice of a railroad to model was then dictated by the railroad or railroads running through that area. Now, those of you who picked a railroad to model first simply liked a particular railroad. Perhaps you were attracted to its paint scheme. Perhaps your grandfather or great-grandfather worked for that particular railroad. Or perhaps that particular railroad ran past your house when you were a kid. In any case, having picked a railroad, you may then have looked around for an area that your railroad runs through to model, or you may have simply freelanced an area to run your trains through. Of course, some railroads are enduring favorites. For example, the BNSF, the Norfolk Southern, and others. In my case, I picked a location first. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I stumbled upon some photos of Echo Canyon, Utah on the internet way back in 2014. I was immediately captivated by what I saw in those photos. Then and there, those photos brought me back into model railroading after having been out of the hobby for nearly 30 years. Well, from Echo Canyon, I worked my way east on Google Maps until I came to the classification yard at Green River, Wyoming. And I decided that this was the area I wanted to model. Of course, I noticed that the Union Pacific runs through this area. So I chose to model the UP since it's the railroad running through the area I wanted to model. From the beginning, my goal was to capture the feel of that area and the railroad running through it. And what about SP and 53 Daylight and Overnight himself? After all, it was he who suggested the question. Which came first, a location to model or a railroad first? Well, he says it was the trains themselves that first influenced him. He wanted to model streamlined passenger trains and was able to narrow his choice down to the Coast Daylight or one of the Nebraska Zephyrs. But then to decide between the two, he had to study the locations of both, and it was the beautiful scenery through which the Coast Daylight ran that sealed the deal for him. In other words, he decided to model the Coast Daylight, a passenger train on the Southern Pacific Railroad that ran between Los Angeles and San Francisco. And the beautiful location through which the Coast Daylight ran confirmed this selection. And now the question for the coming week. Building scenery is one of the most popular and enjoyable aspects of the hobby. With this in mind, here's the question for next week. In building terrain on your layout, what is your favorite material to use as a scenery base? For example, is it extruded foam, white styrofoam, plaster cloth over cardboard lattice, or some other material? Be sure to post your response in the comments down below. Then I will tally up your responses and present the results in next week's edition of Dispatch. Remember, the question for the coming week is, what is your favorite material to use as a scenery base? And now it's time for your comments. On Saturday, I uploaded a video called Strasburg, a Railroad Adventure. In it, I took you on a trip to Strasburg, Pennsylvania to see the various railroad attractions there. I wanted to do this because next year's get-together of railroad modelers and YouTube video creators in May 2020 probably will be held in Strasburg, and I hope to see you there. Let's look at a clip from Saturday's video. Today I'm going to tell you about Strasburg, Pennsylvania and the railroad attractions there. Why would you want to know about Strasburg? Well, I'm going to tell you why in today's episode. Hi, I'm Roy Smith. In May and June, I spent 3 weeks visiting my mother who lives in central Pennsylvania. I did a lot of railroad and model railroad things during those 3 weeks, and I've been telling you about those things in recent episodes. I want to tell you about Strasburg and the railroad attractions there because it looks like next year's big get-together in May 2020 will be held in Strasburg. I'm hoping to meet a whole bunch of you there. There were tons of comments in response to this video. Let me just share a couple of them with you. Dean Danielson wrote, "Good morning, Roy. Another wonderfully produced and edited video. You're a pro." Dolly and I visited Strasburg in May, one day before the model railroaders get together in Steamtown. We only saw the same two attractions you highlighted, the Strasburg Railroad and the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania. Looks like the other two attractions are well worth seeing as well. Hopefully we will be able to attend next May. Thanks, Dean. Strasburg is a wonderful choice for our next get-together. I certainly hope you and Dolly can come because we'd love to see you again. Ben Strains wrote, "Wonderful video. I've always wanted to go there." Ben, Strasburg is a great place for rail fans and model railroaders alike. I'm hoping you can come. Norman Rowe wrote, "Hi Roy, fascinating travel log. I'm beginning to believe you're a secret agent for the Pennsylvania Tourist Board." Good one, Norman. I'm waiting for my first paycheck to come from the Tourist Board even as we speak. And John Grady wrote, "Another great show that also highlights your wonderful trip. Seems Central PA is a hotbed of railroading. Thanks for sharing, Roy." You're absolutely right, John. There's tons of railroad and model railroad stuff to do in Pennsylvania. That's one of the reasons why I like to go there. In your comments, many of you indicated that you are already planning to go to the get-together in Strasburg next year. I'm looking forward to it myself and to meeting up with all of you there. Oh, by the way, in the video I mentioned that if you're not driving to get there, then you could fly into Harrisburg International Airport, about 40 miles away, or you could come by Amtrak to Lancaster, which is about 10 miles away. There is another option, and that is to fly into Philadelphia International Airport, which is about 60 miles away. For many of you, this might be a better choice because there probably are better airline connections to Philadelphia. Now, if you still haven't seen Saturday's video about Strasburg, I hope you will go over and watch it after dispatch ends. I'll put a link down below that will take you directly to it. Now it's time for tonight's big shout out. And tonight's shout out goes to Roy Hardwick, also known as Containerman 68. Let me tell you why the shout out goes to Roy. Roy is a truck driver, and once again he has driven his truck through Echo Canyon and has filmed the canyon as he drove through it a little over a week ago. I want to tell you that Roy's videos have been immensely helpful to me in trying to recreate the area I'm modeling, especially Echo Canyon. In fact, quite a few truck drivers make videos of the areas they drive through, and this is a tremendous resource for us model railroaders. I am grateful to Roy for his videos because they have helped me create the scenery on my layout. I want to show you what I mean. So let's go over to Roy's channel and take a look at a clip from his most recent drive through Echo Canyon.
So we be at Echo Canyon now. Something, hey, Roy Smith, there's a State Department right up here, right before the, I know you can't do it, but, you know, just other weird, you know, little things. Too bad you didn't have the room. You could actually put the State Department there before the bridge overpasses and stuff. Doing it, I'd have the rest areas because there's the westbound rest area, the eastbound rest areas over here on my right side right now. I'll definitely try to do those. See, they're looking red or orange today, aren't they? It's nice and sunny out right now. A little hazy, a little cloud haze, not much.
Now you've had a chance to see a brief clip from one of Roy's videos right here on Dispatch. So here's what I want you to do next. I want you to go over to his channel and check out his videos for yourself. You might discover that Roy has filmed the area you are modeling. I will put a link down below that will take you to his channel. When you're over there at his channel, be sure to subscribe and tell him that Roy Smith sent you. Well, that just about concludes tonight's show, but before you go, there are 3 things I want you to remember. First, I normally upload 2 videos each week, Dispatch on Tuesday nights, in which I get to interact with you and which you're watching right now, and layout updates on Saturday mornings in which I show you what I'm doing on my layout. I hope you will join me this Saturday morning as we get back to updates on my layout after many adventures in Pennsylvania. But I'm going to have to get real busy, real fast on the layout, or this Saturday's video will be the shortest video ever on YouTube. Second thing, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of the upcoming episodes. And third, right now there are 171 other videos on this channel. I want you to go to my videos page and check them out. I will put a link to the videos page down below. Well, thanks for joining me here on Dispatch tonight. And to those of you here in the studio audience, thank you as well for showing up. Until next time then, happy railroading. I'm Roy Smith, and I will see all of you again very soon.